Now I invite Professor Brishia, Department of English, St. John's College, to introduce our first speaker of the day.
Good evening, everyone present here. I'm delighted to introduce our chief guest, Professor Dr. Aktem Dislav. He is a digital financial technologies innovator, powerful speaker, coach, co-brands loyalty partnership expert, PhD, full professor of social sciences, MBA, DBA, academician at Regional Academy of Management in Kansas, international PhD thesis expert in Punjab Technical University. He is here with us to share his knowledge in the topic English as a lingua franca in Bangladesh, building the global worldview across the cultural diversity. We are grateful to have you as our chief speaker today, sir. We are looking forward for your speech. Heartily welcome, sir. The session is over to you now, sir. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. That's great, and many thanks, dear the head of the organizing committee, participants, and the head of the department. It's a great pleasure for me to be with you today to share this ground and to see scholars from different parts of the world, and particularly the Department of English Language spreading and accepting and uniting scholars of English science from different parts of the world. You are doing a great job, and I'm very happy to be with you and to talk on topics related to social linguistics and general linguistics today. Thank you for the invitation. So I would like to start to talk about one of the issues related to current social linguistic overview. And first of all, let me share my screen here. Okay, is it in action, my screen? Do you see it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
So, thank you. So, just English as a lingua franca in Bangladesh, building the global worldview across the cultural diversity. So, our world is full of languages and cultural dimensions, and today's 21st century gives us a lot of new challenges, and particularly all challenges will be connected with let's say digital financial and digital technology. So innovation and user media, digital innovation, they just gathered, and we all transferred from local audiences, from local books, paper printed one, to the digital one. And we need to cope with this through the several years or decades. And I'm a doctor of science and doctor of philosophy, and currently specializing in the field of management, financial management, and my PhD is connected with general and contrastive linguistics. I'm doing research in the field of language, ethnicity, and national identity. And I'm also full professor of social sciences and working in Kazakhstan in Academy of Management and in Vernadsky Crimean Federal University. This is my new academic dimension. I currently work in the Institute of Media Communications, Media Technologies and Design, and Department of Advertising, Public Relations and Publishing. And I'm also a member of Global Professional Institute of Global Professionals in Bangladesh in Chittagong, and also working as a PhD expert to the topics of management and the types of management. So you are all welcome to, and if you want to have some relations, scientific or academic, you are welcome. I'm open to different fields: social sciences, management, linguistics, English, philology, and the Oriental languages and Germanic languages as well. Okay, here's my certificates related to Bangladesh and Institute of Global Professionals. And the language always embodies the originality of an entire nation. Different languages are by no means different designations of the same thing, but different visions of it. Wilhelm von Humboldt, Language and Philosophy. His utterance. And I'd like to draw your attention here to this chart. So, ethnic cultural identity change process. So, how to start, how to build, how to be strong in the 21st century across the digital identities and digital cultural identities and particular identities. So here's chart strong wing identities and in the horizontal line cultural identity and vertical ethnic identity. Strong and weak, and bicultural identity here has strong positions. Then weak, quite opposite, ethnic oriented, only one, and assimilated identity weak, and the marginal identity all weak here. So in order to be strong, one should be mentioned in two cultural identities. So the one to save your own identity, national one. The second one is for sharing it and just be patriot and share and just promote your identity in order to preserve it for the several cultures and for the several generations too here. So language is one of the most unique and powerful endowments to human beings. It is not only a medium of communication, but also a way of life and thinking. It determines the way of people look at the world too. There is also the population of official language Bengali and population of Bangladesh and capital city Dhaka and main religion as Islam. So People's Republic of Bangladesh. So the language bears the social, cultural identity and experiences, knowledge and beliefs of the individual community. Due to the British colonial expansion, the English language has occupied an important linguistic position in the post-colonial countries. The English Education Act was a legislative act of the Council of India given effect to a decision in 1835 by William Bentinck IV, Duke of Portland. It made the people of India learn English as a medium of education. The people of Bangladesh were also under the ordinance. And here is also the maps, just illustrating the time lapse of India just before the invasion and after that, and just the new and the last one just connected with new countries appearing as Bangladesh as separate country and Pakistan and other just floating India. The medium of education in a British colonial period was in English, and Maclay asserted the reason to make ordinance English as a medium of education, stating, whether we look at the intrinsic value of our literature or at the particular situation of the country, we shall see the strongest reason to think that all foreign tongue is the most useful to our native subject. So although there were a lot of debates about learning English or the medium of education or in British colonial period in Bangladesh, in the period of Pakistan government, English was the lingua franca to communicate with the within the east and the west of Pakistan, as they both belong to different mother tongue, Bengali and Urdu. Okay, so here is also a map of languages of Bangladesh, and here is full of selection of languages and cultural unities and diversities as well. So here is also a number of speakers in percentage related to the languages, and you see that the orange one is related to Bengali, the most number of speakers, and also the green one is Santali, and so next one is Gujarati, and so on. Also, cultural events celebrated in Bangladesh as recognized by native people. Okay, the number of them. And Valentine's Day is also popular. Pohela Falgun, Durga Puja, Eid, Amar Kutes International Mother Language Day, and Pohela Baishakh. Okay. After independence, English became a compulsory subject in education, both Bengali medium, including now in madrasa education too. According to the report of English in Action, most sectors in Bangladesh require some degree in English in banking. It retail sectors demanding the most English speakers. 20% of companies require basic level of English, and 38% require intermediate level of English, and basic 38 require general knowledge of English. At present in Bangladesh, English is presented and involved as a major subject in curriculum. Like other colonized countries, the people of learners who can speak well are all considered highly educated. The people who belong to intellectual and unique knowledge, but having no acquisition of English, are considered inferior. So English appears always with the domain phase in schooling in Bangladesh, like other countries of Indian subcontinent. The valued people based on their language, not only their intellectually, is associated to Prospero complex. That's why Fishman in 1989 asserted this education is a socializing institution and must never be examined without concentrating on the social processes that it serves and the social pressure to which it responds. Okay, here are also core concepts in philosophy of Frantz Fanon, black skin, white mask, and what language reveals. So Caliban complex is also called dependency complex. It deals with the inferiority complex of the colonized people. It makes a limitation psychological inside the colonized people. In The Tempest, Shakespeare portrays the dilemma and complexity of Caliban vividly. The dependency complex of colonized people leads the way to spread English over Aboriginal people. In The Tempest by William Shakespeare, Prospero tried to make Caliban dependent to him by his magic. Making dependence helps colonizer to colonize native people. In the context of Bangladesh, people got independence politically, but they didn't come out of dependency complex. People of Bangladesh have established an idea that without the language of dominating country, they cannot cope with development and advancement. As a result, they give little attention to enrich their Aboriginal language. Postmodern theorist and critic Frantz Fanon wrote excellently, every colonized people, in other words, every people in whose soul an inferiority complex has been created by the deaf and buried its local cultural originality, finds itself face to face with the language of a civilized nation, that is, with the culture of the mother country. Bangladesh people often feel inferiority complex for their native Bengali language. This trend will make a permanent dependence on speakers of Bengali language. English language teaching in Bangladesh is not a new phenomenon. English has been practiced as a contact language for international and intranational communication. It paved the way Indian subcontinent to accept and adopt English as the medium of education. Mahatma Gandhi in 1869-1948 asserted in colonial period that offering knowledge of English to millions of people in the Indian subcontinent will just enslave them. Gandhi locally protested the medium of foreign language through which higher education has been imparted in India has caused incalculable intellectual and moral injury to the nation. Gandhi predicated that Indian people might be enslaved politically and culturally by learning English language because the language is not only a medium of communication, but also a medium of thinking and viewing of the world. So a man is but the product of his thoughts, or what he thinks he becomes. Here's a famous utterance of Mahatma Gandhi. So lingua franca here in terms of social linguistics, social linguistics. So the term English as the lingua franca appears as the element to make empire to many cities. In Bangladesh, like many other countries of Indian subcontinent, English is grandly learned by the name of lingua franca as an inter-ethnic language. Edward Said was a professor of literature at Columbia University, a public intellectual, and a founder of academic field of postcolonial studies, criticizing the lingua franca for metropolitan Britain, global comprehensive with so that a social offer as to be accessible to anyone speaking to and about the nation. The lingua franca locates England at the local point of the world and also resided over by its power, illuminated by its ideas and culture, kept productive by the attitudes of its moral teachers, artists, legislators, culture, and imperialism, his famous book. This term is making a Eurocentric use of the entire world by the expansion of English. In 1993, a prominent social linguist published a book launched the term Linguistic Imperialism to break the ice of considering English as a lingua franca and the impact of it in colonial and minor language communities, linguistically and socially. The scholar illustrated the crucial mission of dominating countries to make a wide range and depth of their language to the different corners of the world. He linked the relation within the spread of English with the benefits of English-speaking countries politically, culturally, and economically. There is another theory that has some connection with post-imperial and social linguistic overview. So, Grassroots Theory, in 1996, Fishman, Conrad, and Rubel Lopez jointly published a book of essays named Post-Imperial English, where they mainly installed the theory called Grassroots Theory to explain the reason of wildfire spreading of English in post-colonial countries, including Bangladesh, India, Africa, etc. Introduces the reasons of spreading English by world in political, cultural, and economic field. The theory asserts the reason of spreading English is just for maintaining a lingua franca and to be connected with the globalizing modernization, progressive advancement in the present world. According to the Oxford Book of Social Linguistics by Robert Bailey, Richard Cameron, the main argument of the grassroots theory is that the spread of English in the world today is not the product of British and American conspiracy. Grassroots theory makes the legitimacy of using English by excuse of internationalism and globalization. In Bangladesh, people learn English from the British period to present day to change their laws. English has ensured their economic solvency by learning English. Dr. Human Azad wrote the reason of speaking English in Bangladesh in British period. Bengali people didn't learn English due to the divergence of the Ascenticism of English literature. They rather learned English by the sake of their bread and butter. Before the Palashi War, some advanced Bengali people had learned English, and thus they made business collaboration with English as well as earning a lot of silver coin. This is the implication of grassroots theory of expansion of English language in Bangladesh as well as the other post-colonial countries. Another theory is exploitation theory, that is another perception about the spreading of English in the entire world, especially in the post-colonial countries. So the theory claims that English is imposed on all over the world by the colonial masters for their own benefit, ecumenically, culturally, and politically indeed. So it imposed to make the colonized people enslaved. Candia opined that the colonizer imposed their language to the native people, makes a sense among the aboriginal people of a particular land. So these as colonized people need to learn English to be globalized and modernized as well as international communication continuum. They face a threat of and the confusion to be detached from their identity and ethnicity as important language always powerful, political and economically inconsequent. Linguistic and cultural imperialism will be naturally appear side cities often make satire English language teaching, practitioners of local countries, army of language missionaries. So the world is your classroom, and both school classroom in Bangladesh, for example. So, okay. So linguistic imperialism is very much closely associated with exploitation theory of spreading English. Linguistic imperialism stands for a dominant nation's practice of transferring its culture, social, cult, political, and even economical features and ideologies by transferring its language to other nations. The spread of English is the result of deliberate imperialist theory, imperialist policy. So linguistic imperialism is an exact phenomenon. It is very much predicted that language of less powerful nation, historically, it is highly noticed from the ancient period to till now. It is in 1st to 4th century, Latin dominated over Roman Empire because they were politically, economically powerful in all over Europe. The idea of diglossia was also coined by Ferguson. So it describes a situation where two languages or language varieties happen side by side in a community, and each has a clear variety of functions. Diglossia in social linguistics is a term used to mean a speech community who speaks a language with prestigious high variety, and another language is less prestigious function, low variety. When a powerful nation makes colonization or domination politically, diglottic situation often happen. So here is example, a kind of diglossia standard. So bilingualism, both diglossia and bilingualism without diglossia, free diglossia without bilingualism, and neither diglossia nor bilingualism. Okay. So kinds, both diglossia and bilingualism, a situation where almost everyone in the community knows both high and low level, and the two varieties are distributed in a manner typical of diglossia. So Fishman recognized this as the only stable combination, and we call this as strong identity, strong language and bicultural identity. Bilingualism without diglossia refers to communities with a large number of bilingual individuals, but there was no functional distinction between language varieties. Diglossia without bilingualism is a situation where when there exist two disjunct groups within single political, religious, or economic entity. One is the ruling group who speaks only the high language, and the other, normally is larger group, has no power in the society and speaks exclusively the low language. Neither diglossia nor bilingualism, a hypothetical situation when a small linguistically isolated community doesn't have any sort of functional differentiation or societal bilingualism. So diglossia is different as function distinction of more than one language within a speech community. A present distinction of language in Bangladesh is noted. Young adults use frequently English. English is public communication and media making, functional distinction of language. English appears to them as the prestigious term beside native language is considered less prestigious to them. It is noticed that from the very beginning to the present day. An overlap and an exaggeration in the practice of English language teaching in Bangladesh might be predicted as to turn a diglossic situation. English speaker is a social function in Bengali, having got a supreme prestige and position in society. Seventh Sastry, who was a scholar, religious reform educator, writer and historian, cited the position of Bengali people who could speak English in British, as they could speak and write English ungrammatically and without prosperous structure. They got highest prestige and the power in the social society of Kolkata. They demonstrated their glory with a colorful dress and shoes. People looked at them with intrigue. At present day, the social situation in Bengal look the same. People feel proud to perform English in public place mentally. Sunil Ganguly, Indian Bengali poet and novelist, depicted the diglossic situation in Bengali sadly. At present, I notice strangely many Bengali people feel inferiority complex within Bengali language and culture. They disregard Bengali badly. We do not speak Bengali in everyday situation and place. We feel proud of if our children do not learn Bengali language. Amari Bangla Bahasa. This observation predicated that perhaps Bangladesh is marching on a diglossic situation pragmatically. The trend of diglossia in Bangladesh can be entitled as paradiglossia. It is also a major reason for the rapid emergence of English language in social function in Bangladesh. In post-colonial countries, including Bangladesh, many prejudices prevail in social culture context. Linguicism is one of the taboos existing among the colonized people. Linguicism means the belief that one language is superior to other. The term was coined in the 1980s by linguists from Sweden, Tolf Skutnab Kangas. It comes forward to evaluate people by the tongue, which is social, political prejudice. No land is barren culturally, politically, artistically, as well as intellectually. Every native speaker has one culture, tradition, and a way of life that built its civilization. Pavi Ginfer stated vividly, fundamentally, linguicism is a matter of depriving people of power and influence due to the language beyond systemic discrimination. His book was published in 2017. Linguistic chauvinism to claim that one civilization is superior to other, one language is superior to other, and one race is superior to other. So Tolf Skutnab Kangas made parallels between hierarchization on the basis of racism, ethnicism, and linguicism. Linguicism is the belief of attitude besides linguistic imperialism is the action of domination language on dominated language. So discrimination based on race, gender, or language is regarded as a violation of human rights. No language speaker can consider other language speaker less prestigious than them. There are two sorts of linguicism, so intralinguism within variety of the same language and interlinguicism within two or more different languages. Intralinguicism prescribes that one variety is standard over another variety and thus it insults the existence of local dialects of particular language too. Local varieties are also a set of particular language. They must not be insulted or unaccepted in interlinguicism in their psychological arrogant attitude, values, and hegemonic beliefs that a language or dominating country is superior to dominated country. So the movement against linguicism is labeled as linguistic human rights. So Robert Philipson defined linguistic human rights are a set of ademas and principles that are ascribed universally validity and interlinked with democracy, freedom, and the popular representation in the political process. Linguistic human rights is marketed globally but need to be discussing if they do not apply to the entire world language. So from linguistic imperialism to linguistic neo-imperialism, so here is also examples of economic, financial, and educational marginalization, of fastfoodization, military forced English for peacekeeping, and neo-imperial world order largely constitute for English bills or English linguistic capital accumulation and the dispossession of the other types of linguistic capital and contested and resisted English serving as anti-imperial purposes, European Union language policy recommendations, and so on. Okay, so in Bangladesh, the medium of education should be assigned in native language with a native variety. It is the right of every individual to get the chance of education in their native language with a native variety. There are many tribes in Bangladesh who have own linguistic identity, and thus the written on their education needs to be formed which will help them to fulfill their linguistic human rights. Spanish linguist, journalist, and literary critic Fernando Lazaro Carrier stated a natural language is the archive where experiences, knowledge, and beliefs of a community are stored. So if we violate the linguistic human rights of the tribal people, it will be on the threat of their experiences, knowledge, and beliefs virtually. So, going to conclusion, the impacts of English over post-colonial countries, including Bangladesh, are vivid by the above discussion. To get rid of linguistic imperialism as well as to upright linguistic human rights, there are some responsibilities of post-colonized people as well as language policy makers. Every language is unique, resourceful, as well as identity bearer. No language is superior or inferior to another language. We have to keep in mind that language doesn't make knowledge. The knowledge and economic power of speaker of particular language speaker make the language powerful. Linguistic human rights should be kept in mind to sustain individual linguistic rights. Opportunities need to be given to nurture mother language and the social and educational field. Local ELT English language teaching practitioners need to be developed their own English language teaching materials where local linguistic features will be reflected. This study thinks that will help to local learners to adopt second language successfully as condemned. Linguistic democracy is a new phenomenon in social linguistics that can be a panacea to be accepted as local English learning country. It will also make democratic rights to young learners contribute in the future development cycle of any particular language like English. Learners and the teachers need to think that English is not learned for the native speaker's superiority, but a way of to their local people, admitting equal rights in global communication. There are also, I put some references related to my topic today. You can take them and browse and just open topic of discussion in a wide range. So thank you for your kind attention. And here is also example of a school. And use your English skills. The world is waiting for you as a way of motivation for the young learners and all the scholars. You do great job. And I have here I mentioned about local English language teachers and practitioners. You are the connectors. And I'm also happy that the Department of English in the south of India just started to or make some webinars, and I was waiting for just invitation, for example, from China or from South Korea or other countries or from European Union, but they're just keeping silent. So just let them stay out. So we would like to welcome and know that we're using English in current situation, and it's a working language, it's a united language. And today's situation shows that accepting English, being an English-speaking person, it gives a lot of opportunities for people to be present in the global world. And you know that digital technologies and media, they are just taking out frontiers and boundaries, and people easily just start to communicate and find out each other for the interest for as we do here, scholars. And if you have some questions, please, you're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Akhtar, for giving your valuable insights on English as a lingua franca in Bangladesh. So with that, we will go ahead and take some time for questions. You can interact with Dr. Akhtar.
Anyway, thank you. Uh, I just really want to tell that uh, being being a minority, it's important to know your own language and present your identity. And global languages, they can be also the languages as inter-ethnic languages and has a status of lingua franca. And in case of minority, if you are the master of English, for example, Spanish and Russian, and for example Arabic language, or and Turkic, you have several inter several lingua franca connections. So you are happy to deliver your culture, your language experience to the speakers of other language. And English is currently our working language, and we are trying to preserve our own identity and share our cultural experience. And you know that the prestigious factor, the number of publications in Western world, in the United States, and in Asia Pacific region, they are all presented in English, and it's quite helpful for us uh, to discover new issues, to discover new topics done by scholars from different universities. And just having here a chance, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to Dr. Ismat Zarin. She's from Bangladesh, University of Asia Pacific. And I wish you also a happy day and hope to meet. And I really want my experience. So I really want to you to create something like a virtual university where we can communicate here, we can have some scholars, students, and that will be wonderful. So I'm thinking about this position, and okay, the 21st century and the current situation will be changing for the future. And we hope to connect and to stay. And we need to think about a virtual university or educational platform to stay jointly and to share our own experience by giving lectures, teaching. So thank you very much for your kind attention. And again, you have some questions, comments, and share experience, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So namaste, then Mani Padme Hum, and all the best to you, and especially to Muslim community. Just Ramadan is coming, so Ramadan Kareem, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh for the Muslim community too. And many thanks for the invitation today. I'm really proud. It's a great honor for me to communicate with scholars of different countries. So thank you.